Howdy, fellow partner. Fancy seeing you here, out on the dusty trail to Bedlam. Don't you recognize me? It's your old pal, Gunslinger Stranger. I'm surprised you're on your feet. Thought I seen you shot dead back in that ruckus in San Antonio. Then again, we've all been shot dead once or twice, haven't we? I know I have. Come and saddle up along the campfire if it suits your fancy. I've got things to say, and I know you're always keen to listen. There's one more bowl of chupacabra chili in that pot over yonder. Might be your new favorite if you can handle a little psychedelic spice. See, I've been waxing philosophical-like, watching the stars swirl over our heads, wondering what it all means really, and thinking about the nature of conflict. 'Cause as a gunslinger, conflict is my business, and business is booming, even when I ain't advertising. That's sort of the problem, far as I can see. Man can only walk a few paces down Main Street without finding himself in a high noon showdown. Then even if he wins, only a few paces more before there's another. Once you build a reputation around here, ain't no shortage of challengers. That's really the pitfall of success as a man of unconscionable violence. The reward for hard work is always more hard work. The more people you kill, the more people you gotta kill. 'Cause everybody's got some damn fool brother, best pal, or teenage babysitter come around looking for revenge. For a while, it almost feels good. Come and get me, you sons of bitches. I put holes in so many just like you. What makes you think you'll be any different? The legend becomes so real, it starts to swallow up your actual sense of self. And I ain't no kumbaya singing Zen Buddha pacifist, but I'll tell you, if you don't start to wonder what the point of all this madness is after putting a few dozen able-bodied men in the dirt, you might just be a moron in general. And I may be a lot of things, but that much I unfortunately am not. Sure would make life a lot simpler if I were. It used to be the case that if you didn't have a damn good reason to shoot somebody, society would turn on you for doing it. Casus belli, the Romans called it, if I remember correctly. The cause for war. If you didn't have one back then, people wonder why the hell you were raising such a fuss. Nowadays, they accept just about any justification as valid. Oil, religion, historical grievances, geographic inconvenience, having the wrong type of economy, protesting too loud, being too poor and not humble enough, or too rich and not cynical enough. And no matter how ridiculous the reason, there's always some feller in the back says you had it coming. The crowd might grumble and tut some, but eventually they disperse and move on to the next controversy. Before you know it, all anybody remembers is the man in white shot the man in black, and ain't that just the way it always goes? No matter what you did with your days, ain't nobody gonna keep your piss and vinegar alive in the night after you're gone. One day you meet the guy who draws half a second faster than you did, and the curtain slams down and the lights go out. And inside of a week's time, there's somebody else walking around wearing your boots. Truth be told, the best way to keep that from happening for as long as possible is to be the one who always decides to draw first. Other man can't be half a second quicker if he's already dead. You ain't willing to think that way, you meet your end at the hands of somebody else who is. And once the world gets to a certain level of dysfunction, that's all the casus belli anybody needs. Of course, that's only if you ever believed in any of that nonsense about self-defense to begin with. A cold-blooded killer tells himself whatever he needs to say to get to sleep at night. Whether you're robbing a train or hunting down outlaws, the motivations are always the same. To earn a paycheck, to get your slice of the pie, to live another day, and even when all that drudgery runs out, to be remembered. To leave a lasting mark on a world that's put so many scars on you so that no matter how cruel and pointless a life it was, other people look back and say that ragged old dog was one of the best of us. And maybe, for a small percentage, they do, for a while. But even the wildest, meanest, luckiest gun in the West eventually became that poor bastard who sat at the wrong chair at the poker table with his back to the door and got a bullet in the brain pan for his trouble. The simple sharecropper, the wealthy shopkeep, the grizzled outlaw, and the noble lawman all go back in the same box when the game is over. The question is how miserable you want to make the time between now and then. How many evil deeds will you do to survive and to make a name for yourself before it all ends the same way it was going to end anyway? Whether it's with a bang or a whimper, they're both just noises that happen every day, like the wind rustling through the trees on a lonely patch of road with nobody around to hear it. I don't aim to be depressing. Usually I aim for center mass. But that does seem like one hell of a raw deal. Ain't no wonder people are mad about it. Thing is, all that shooting and drinking and hollering and cussing don't seem to make a lick of difference to the outcome. If anything, the strongest men I meet tend to be the ones that go into the grave young. The dog bares his teeth as the first to get put down, and in that respect, it seems the ones who want to fight death every day to prove they're bold enough to survive attract his premature attention. And between the piles of empty whiskey bottles and the callous trigger finger, hard not to suspect it might be more out of guilt-fueled self-destruction than ignorance. I guess that's why they say the meek shall inherit the earth. They're the only ones left who still feel worthy to rage against the dying of the light when their ticket comes due. I ain't saying the hero and the villain should never have existed at all, but maybe they have more in common than they think they do. They're both too busy riding around trying to take somebody else's life, stepping in their own before it's too late. Searching for meaning in somebody else's eyes, never realizing the world they're trying to impress is bound for the same oblivion as they are. My buddy Roscoe asked me the other day how many people I've killed in my time. I told him, all of them. He said there's still folk walking this earth same as there was before I got here, but my time ain't over yet. Come off like a cold, grim, mean-ass son of a bitch, but that's only because sometimes the world needs to have a good hard look at its own reflection to see what it's becoming. I suppose at the end of the day, we're all just trying to fit the dress code of the party we're attending. Whether it's a Legionnaire's armor, or a duster and a wide-brimmed hat, or a hooded cloak and scythe, the costume means the same thing, and the gun looks a lot different staring down the barrel instead of the sights. But the people you terrorize don't give you space, they just puff out their chests and try to scare you back. Then you gotta do something drastic unless you want to come clean and admit to yourself what's really going on. Generations of human history tainted by the fear of not being there to see the future, and the fear of what'll happen if the people we stepped on to get there ever get the upper hand. It takes a lot more moxie to back off and heal from it than it does to perpetuate it. That's the one battle I rarely see anyone volunteer for. Everybody wants to break every wild bronco except their own ego. At least some things are still sacred, I guess. Funny looking altar, though. Nothing to do once you climb to the top of that mountain of body except climb back down again and find a nice spot to lay down and sacrifice yourself near the base so you can be a stepping stone for the next fool walks over with delusions of grandeur. I don't know, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. If unbridled chaos and wanton violence ain't the meaning of life, then what the hell could it be? Growing to a ripe old age, eating porridge? Who would want them sour grapes anyway? Once you've turned your life into enough of a melodrama that redemption seems like a distant fantasy, what hope of bliss or contentment have of making an appearance? Irony of all ironies, becoming the ultimate survivor means creating a life that ain't worth living. Maybe you should have just settled down with that rancher's daughter back when you still had some fire left in your eyes before it all went so wrong. Seemed like a dreadful, boring life at the time, but it's gotta be better than this. You know, desperado, desperate, and despair all come from the same root. It means without hope. Having nothing left to lose and still refusing to let go of the empty vessel. Chasing all the joy out of life and then using its absence as an excuse to become a monster. Realizing you're the architect of your own design and you've created a goddamn nightmare. Most of all, continuing under the false pretense that it's too late to turn back. Path don't lead nowhere good, but you knew that when you started this rodeo. Doom sounds a lot more romantic than stubborn as a mule, and some people would rather die gut shot than admit they were wrong. Buck up, little camper. Ain't no need to look so glum. All I'm saying is, if you're waking up every day saying life's a bitch, maybe that's why she don't love you so tender as she used to. A bad attitude can cause more headaches than a whole barrel of moonshine. Shooting somebody else ain't never gonna solve a problem coming from inside yourself. And if life is what we make of it, maybe death is too. Beginnings are a blank slate, but endings only come from all the things that happened before. If you lived in such a way that it's a story worth hearing, the final page where it all gets resolved should be something to look forward to. Instead of running from it like a yellow-bellied coward or spitting blood and venom at that last lucky challenger, maybe it's better to approach peacefully. Sit at the campfire and maybe listen for once to the crackling of the embers and strive to understand what death is trying to tell you about yourself. Share a nice bowl of chili and hope that last bite ain't too bitter. Speaking of, how do you like it? You hardly even flinched at that hint of hemlock in the aftertaste. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. I ain't gonna poison perfectly good chupacabra meat. You know how hard it is to catch one of those things. That's peyote, not hemlock. I ain't no exiled Greek philosopher. Once you can get your head to stop spinning long enough to lay flat, here's as good a spot to rest as any. I'll be on to the next bloody battle by the time you wake. But maybe you can see the world with a little broader view. Just remember to keep your head down and your bottle up. Don't take any wooden nickels if you decide to sell your soul. Listen for the haunted shriek of the ghost train before you try to cross the tracks. And, as always, good luck and safe